You know, people scroll through our Instagram feed. They see Clara sipping an Aperol Spritz against a Santorini sunset, or me wrestling with a paper map in some flea market in Lisbon, and they drop a single dismissive word in the comments: fake. It's impossible, they say, for two aging engineers from Seattle to just walk away from their careers at 55
I
with a
didn't
measly
grow old. I
$300,000 in a
just
savings
changed
account,
how I
and then
make
somehow start living
money.
the life they'd only ever seen in travel
I
magazines.
used to think I
And you know
had
what?
it
In a way,
figured
they're
out.
absolutely right.
A steady
But they're also
office
profoundly,
job,
almost
decent
tragically wrong.
insurance, a
The truth, as it so often
401k that
does,
looked
lives in that
healthy on
miserable, beautiful
paper,
chasm
and a
between
life
the
that
numbers you
was
show the world
fine, I
and the
guess.
secrets you keep locked away in password
Until
protected Excel
one winter
files.
morning,
And our story, when you
I
really get
looked
down
at
to it,
my
isn't about money at all.
paycheck
It's
and
about the cost of
realized
freedom.
I'd been
And
treading
that
water
price,
for
trust me, is
30
so much higher than you
damn
think.
years.
30 years.
I was
For 30 years, I
58,
gave the best parts of myself to
tired and
Omnicorp.
starting to
The name sounds
panic
so
about
grand, doesn't it?
things I never
So
used to.
omnipotent. In reality, it was
Medical
just another
bills,
soul-sucking behemoth
market
that chewed up your life and
crashes,
spit it out in the form
whether
of
I'd
endless
outlive
PowerPoint
my
presentations and free
savings.
coffee that tasted faintly of burnt
My
plastic.
wife,
I was an
Linda,
aerospace
had
engineer.
just
Sounds
come
impressive, I
home
know.
from a
I
minor
designed components for things that
surgery,
flew into the heavens,
and
while
when
my
I
own life
opened the
was in a nosedive,
hospital bill,
accelerating towards the hard, unforgiving ground.
$8,200 after
Every
insurance,
morning, I'd knot my tie and it would
something
feel less like getting
inside me
dressed and more
snapped
like
a
cinching a
little.
noose. I'd sit in the
That night,
gridlocked
I
misery of the
sat
I
at the
5 freeway,
kitchen table
glancing at the other
surrounded
hollowed
by
out faces in their
envelopes
sensible
and
sedans, and a single
calculators,
terrifying thought
the
would echo in my
light
head:
yellow and
is this it?
soft
Is
but
this all there
heavy
is? Clara,
somehow.
my wife, my
And
brilliant,
I
beautiful Clara,
muttered
she had it
half
even worse.
jokingly,
She was a software
"You know,
architect, a
honey,
profession that requires
if
you
I
to
quit
communicate
my job
more with
today,
machines than
we
with human
could live
beings,
about
and she
three
was the best
months,
in her field.
maybe
Clara could
4 if
spot a
we
logical
cancel
fallacy in a million lines of code
Netflix."
with a single sweeping glance, but she
She
couldn't seem to find
laughed
the
through
escape hatch in her own
tears,
life. She'd come home
the
every night,
kind of
her eyes dry
laugh
and strained
that's
from staring at a
half
screen, her
love,
entire being
half
humming with a
quiet
low-grade exhaustion
terror.
that no
And
shutdown
that's when
command
I
could
knew
ever resolve.
something had to
We had the whole
change.
package. The beautiful house
I
in Bellevue, one
started
of those
reading
aggressively
everything
pleasant
I
Seattle
could
suburbs
about
where your
investing.
worth is measured by the
I was
uniform
too
greenness of your
old for
lawn and the
crypto
number of
hype
German
and
cars in your
too broke
driveway.
for real
We had the two
estate
German
flips.
cars, the annual
So at
vacations to
first
Hawaii
I
where we'd
thought
spend
I
a
was
week trying to
stuck.
forget the other 51.
Then my
We
buddy
had a
Eric, who
401k that
works
was
at a
growing with a
credit
kind of
union,
boring,
said,
reliable plumpness. We were
"Tom,
the
you
poster
don't
children
have
for the
to
American
buy a
dream.
house to
A dream that,
invest
from
in
the
real
inside, felt
estate.
more and more like a beautifully
Ever heard
decorated,
of
climate-controlled
REITs?"
nightmare. The breaking
I
point didn't arrive like a
frowned.
thunderclap. It came,
Sounds
as
like a
these things often do,
scam.
like a slow,
He
steady drip that
grinned.
finally overflows the bucket.
"Nah,
It was a
man, it's
Tuesday, gray
legit.
and drizzly in that uniquely
Real
Seattle
estate
way.
investment
I was in the war
trusts,
room, a
companies that
tragically
own
ironic name for a
apartments,
windowless chamber where good
malls,
ideas went to die by committee.
hospitals.
I had just spent
You
20
can
minutes
buy
presenting a
shares,
project I'd poured
get
6 months of my life
dividends,
into,
no
an elegant
tenants,
solution that
no
would save the company
broken
millions in
toilets.
manufacturing costs. My
Vanguard,
boss, Dave, a
Schwab,
man whose
all of
smile
them
was as
offer
synthetic
it.
as his hair gel,
You can start
listened
with
with
a
a series
few
of performative
hundred
nods.
bucks.
When I finished, he clapped me on the shoulder.
I rolled my
Good stuff,
eyes
Leo.
but gave it a
Really good
shot.
stuff, he said,
I bought
tapping my detailed proposal.
$1,000 of
Great potential
Vanguard
here.
real
Just leave it with
estate
me. My team will.
ETNQ.
Optimize was
6 months
Omnicorp code for
later,
I will
I
take
got
this
my
idea, strip your
first
name from it,
dividend,
slap mine on top, and collect the bonus. I'd seen it happen 100 times.
$18.74.
But this time, something
It
inside me
wasn't
just
much, but that
snapped. I looked at
1874
Dave,
felt
at his smug,
different.
self-satisfied face,
It
and I
was
didn't see a
quiet
manager.
money.
I saw a warden,
Money
and I
that
realized
showed
the
up
walls of
while
my
I was
office weren't made of
asleep.
drywall. They were
I
made of the
dug
past 30 years of
deeper.
my
I
life.
learned.
That night, I came
Public
home and just
REITs
sank
are
into the expensive
safer
sofa we
and
rarely sat on,
liquid.
staring at the perfectly
Basically,
painted beige
stocks
wall.
that pay
When Clara
rent.
got home an hour later, she took one look
Private
at me and didn't even
REITs
have to
can
ask.
yield
She put her
higher,
briefcase down, sat beside
but
me, and we just
sketchy
existed in that space together.
transparency.
Our
I
silence was
avoided
always our most
those.
honest language. After 10 minutes that felt like
Diversify.
an hour, she finally
In
whispered, I ran the
2025,
numbers again.
healthcare,
I turned to look at her.
industrial, and
What
data
numbers?
center
All of
REITs
them,
were
she said, and
outperforming
in the dim
everything
lamplight, her
else.
eyes had a dangerous
Aging
spark I hadn't seen in
population
years.
plus
The
AI boom.
401ks, the brokerage accounts, the house equity,
Then came the
everything. And I
twist.
found something. I found a crack in the
discovered
system.
Section 1031
That was the first night we ever
exchange,
truly talked
a
about FIRE,
tax rule
financial
that lets
independence,
you
retire
sell an
early. It
investment
always sounded like some
property
fringe
and roll
internet
the
cult for 20-somethings who
profits
lived
into
on ramen and
another one
cryptocurrency. But
without paying
Clara, my brilliant
capital
Clara,
gains
she showed me the
tax
math.
yet.
And the math was beautiful.
That's when the
Our plan
light
wasn't about getting
bulb
rich.
went
It was
off.
built on a beautifully ruthless
REITs were
mathematical
my
principle,
gateway,
the 4% rule. The
but
theory is
maybe,
simple. If
just
you can live off
maybe,
4%
I
of your
was
invested
ready
assets
for the
each year,
real
your
thing.
nest egg should, in theory,
I
last
sold
forever,
some
weathering market
stocks, took a
fluctuations. To
modest
achieve that, you
loan,
need to have saved
and
25
bought
times
a
your annual
duplex
expenses.
in
Our number,
Kansas City.
about $1.2 million.
Nothing
It was a
fancy,
staggering figure, but
two
not an
small
impossible one.
apartments
We were already
next
close to
to
$1
a
million,
gas
locked
station.
away in our various retirement accounts.
My passive
But therein
income
lay the fatal
dream
flaw.
lasted
You
exactly
can't touch
2
that money before you're
weeks
59 and a
until
half
one of
without
my
getting hit by
tenants
crippling tax
called at
penalties.
2
We were
a.m.
52.
Hey,
We needed a
Tom, the
bridge. We
toilet's
needed to fund
flooded.
7.5 years of life
You
out of thin
tried
air.
turning the
That's when
valve?
Clara unveiled her
The
secret
what?
weapon. She opened her laptop, and
So
on the screen
yeah,
was a
I
terrifyingly
was
complex spreadsheet she
unclogging a
named Project
stranger's
Escape
toilet
Plan.
in my
The HSA,
pajamas,
she said, the health
muttering,
savings account.
so
I
much
actually
for
laughed out loud.
passive income.
You're kidding, right? That's our
But it
emergency dental
worked
fund.
out.
That's for
I
Advil and
learned
topeys.
fast.
No, Leo, she said, her
Property
voice electric with
management
discovery.
apps,
It's not a dental
good
fund. It's a
tenants,
fiscal Trojan
bad
horse. The
tenants,
FIRE community calls it the
tax
stealth
deductions,
IRA because it's the most ridiculously
depreciation.
overpowered savings vehicle that
And once
exists.
the cash
Listen to
flow
this. The latest
stabilized,
IRS
I
projections for
pulled the next
2025,
trick,
they're bumping the maximum family
a
contribution to around
1031 exchange.
$8,550.
I sold that
But,
duplex,
and this is the key,
rolled
because
the
we're both over
profit
55,
into a
the law
small
allows for a
four-unit
$1,000
building,
catch-up
no
contribution for each
capital
of us.
gains
That's
tax, all
$10,550 a year we
reinvested.
can funnel into this machine.
By last year, my
10
net
grand is a drop in
rental
the bucket compared to
income
what we
was
need,
around
I argued, still skeptical.
$3,050
You're missing the point,
a
she
month.
insisted, tapping a cell on her spreadsheet.
One
The
night,
point is the triple
Linda
tax
and I
advantage.
sat at that
The
same
money goes in
kitchen
tax
table,
deductible, it grows
same
completely
light,
tax-free,
same
and it comes
laughter.
out completely tax-free for
Remember
qualified
that
medical
night,
expenses.
I
It's the
said,
only
when we
account that does
thought
all
about
three. It's better
canceling
than a 401k,
Netflix?
better than a
She
Roth IRA.
smiled.
Our plan is to max it
Now
out for
you
the
could
next 3
probably
years.
buy
And that money
Netflix
isn't going to
stock.
just sit there.
We
She clicked
both
over to another
laughed.
tab filled with charts.
The kind
I'm
of
not leaving it
laugh
in some
that
pathetic
feels
money market fund
earned.
earning 0.5%. I'm investing
What
all of
I
it aggressively
learned
in
and what you
low-cost
should know
Vanguard-style
if you're
index funds. A
55
simple
plus,
2-fund portfolio, a total
1,
U.S. stock market
start
fund
with
like VTI,
REITs.
and a total international
They're
stock market
cheap,
fund like VXUS.
liquid, and let you
We'll be
learn the
diversified,
real
low-cost,
estate game
and positioned
without
for
the
long-term growth.
chaos of
It's a bit more risk,
tenants.
sure, but we have the time horizon for it to grow.
Vanguard's
Then she leaned in, her
VNQ
eyes
or
locking on mine.
Schwab's SCHH
And
are
here's the masterstroke,
solid
Leo.
starters.
The loophole
2,
nobody talks
use your
about.
IRA
We are not
wisely.
going to use a single penny from that
In
HSA to pay for our current medical
2025,
bills. Not
the
one. We
IRS
pay for
raised
everything out
the
of pocket
catch-up
with cash. A
contribution
root canal,
limit
that's
to
$1,200. New glasses, $400. A
$7,500
series
for
of physical
folks
therapy
over
sessions,
50.
$2,000. We scan and
That's
save every
free
single receipt into an
compounding
encrypted
if
folder.
you use it
Then
right.
10, 15, 20 years from now,
3,
when that HSA
diversify
has ballooned in
across
value from the
real
magic of
estate
compound interest,
sectors.
we can reimburse ourselves from the account,
Healthcare and
tax-free at any time
industrial
for any
REITs
reason.
are riding
It's not medical money anymore at
demographic
that
and
point, Leo.
tech
It's a plane ticket to
trends.
Lisbon. It's the rent on an apartment in Florence.
Morningstar's
It is our
latest
goddamn
report
bridge to
showed
freedom.
consistent 5-6%
We didn't sleep that night. We just sat there on our ridiculously expensive sofa in our oversized house. And for the first time in a decade, we weren't talking about deadlines or bills or the leaky roof.
It's legal.
We were talking about freedom. A freedom underwritten by numbers and a clever
avoidance.
exploitation of the tax
If you
code.
reinvest gains
We had
fast
found a glitch
enough,
in the
you
matrix,
keep your capital working.
and we started digging our tunnel.
5.
The next 3 years
Keep
were a silent,
long
frantic
game
sprint.
mindset.
On the surface,
Real
we were the
estate,
same boring,
even REITs,
dependable
doesn't
engineers.
pay you to get rich
But beneath
quick.
that facade, we were
It
convicts
pays you
meticulously
to
planning a
stay
prison break.
disciplined.
Every spare dollar was
These
rerouted.
days,
We became
I
masters of a
still
quiet
work
austerity.
part-time.
We stopped eating out,
Not
canceled the
because
fancy
I
vacations.
need
I gave
the
Clara a
money,
haircut once,
but
a
because
hilarious
I
disaster
like
we never
having
spoke of
somewhere
again,
to go
and we tracked every
before
single expense
lunch.
down to the last penny.
I
That
checked my
$300,000
REIT
savings
dividends
account that
from
people
my
mock on
phone,
Instagram, that was our war
sipping
chest.
coffee, pretending
That was
I'm
our
some kind
go-to-hell
of
fund, built on a
semi-retired
foundation of iron
tycoon.
discipline and thousands of cups of homebrewed coffee
Sometimes I
instead of
wonder
Starbucks lattes.
if I
The
figured
linchpin of
this
the
out
entire
at
plan, however,
38
was selling
instead
the
of
one thing that had
58,
defined our
would
success for
life
2
be
decades:
different?
the house in Bellevue. The
Probably.
Seattle housing market was
But then
incandescent. The house
again,
we'd bought for
life's
$300,000 was
funny
now worth
like
5
that.
times that. Selling it would give
You
us the
don't
massive
always
cash
need to
infusion we needed to
start
build the
early.
rest of our bridge.
You just need
Preparing
to
that house for
start.
sale was like methodically
And
dismantling a
now,
life.
when that
We held an estate
3K
sale, watching
lands in
strangers
my
haggle over our wedding
account
china.
each month,
We packed boxes
I
of memories,
smile and
each sealed
whisper to
flap of cardboard
myself,
feeling like a final
guess we're
goodbye to a
keeping
version of ourselves.
Netflix.
It was liberating and
I
terrifying
didn't
in equal
grow
measure.
old.
We were
I
tearing
just
down our own
changed how I
gilded
make
cage
money.
with no guarantee that the world outside was any
I
safer.
used to think I
And
had
then
it
the counterattack
figured
came.
out.
Not from
A
a market
steady
crash or from our
office
bosses,
job,
but from the one place we
decent
never expected:
insurance, a
family.
401k that looked
Sarah, Clara's
healthy
younger
on
sister,
paper,
was our polar opposite.
and a
She
life
was a public
that
school
was
teacher and a single mom
fine,
raising 2
I
kids in a small
guess.
town in Oregon. Her world was one of
Until
past due
one winter
notices,
morning,
unreliable cars, and a
I
constant,
looked
low
at
humming
my
anxiety about the
paycheck
future.
and
We loved
realized
her,
I'd been
and we helped her out
treading
financially
water
in
for
quiet ways.
30
But there was
damn
always a gulf
years.
between us. The
I
chasm
was
between people who have to
58,
count every dollar and people
tired,
who
and
can drop
starting to
thousands on a
panic
vacation without a
about
second
things I
thought.
never used to.
We decided to tell the family our
Medical
plan over
bills,
Thanksgiving dinner,
market
foolishly thinking it would
crashes,
be a moment of
whether I'd
shared
outlive
celebration.
my
It was a
savings.
catastrophic miscalculation.
My
After we
wife,
laid out our grand
Linda,
vision,
had
a
just
heavy,
come
suffocating
home from a
silence fell over
minor
the dinner table.
surgery.
Clara's parents
And when
looked
I
confused,
opened the
bewildered.
hospital
But Sarah
bill,
just stared at us, her fork frozen halfway to her mouth,
$8,200
her
after
jaw tight.
insurance,
"So let me see if I have this straight,"
something
she finally said,
inside
her
me
voice
snapped
dangerously
a
calm.
little.
"You two, who are sitting on literally
That
millions
night
of
I
dollars,
sat
are
at the
about to sell your
kitchen
$1.5
table
house
surrounded
so you
by
can
envelopes
retire
and
early and travel the world?"
calculators. The light
"Well, it's not that
yellow
simple,
and
Sarah,"
soft
Clara
but
started, trying to
heavy
de-escalate.
somehow.
"Most of that money is locked up
And
in
I
retirement
muttered
funds. We
half
can't."
jokingly,
"Oh,
"You
complex,"
know,
Sarah cut
honey,
her off, a bitter laugh
if
escaping
I
her
quit
lips.
my job
"It must be so
today,
complex
we
deciding
could
whether to
live
see Greece
about
before
3
Portugal.
months,
Meanwhile, I'm over
maybe
here dealing with the
4
complexity
if
of
we
paying for Ben's
cancel
braces and Lily's field
Netflix."
trip in the same goddamn month."
She laughed
I could feel
through
Clara tense up beside me.
tears.
"Leo and I have
The
worked hard for
kind
30
of
years,
laugh
Sarah. We
that's
didn't win the
half
lottery."
love, half
"Worked hard?"
quiet
Sarah's voice
terror.
rose, and she pushed her chair back.
And that's when
"You
I
think I
knew
don't work hard?
something had
I
to
teach a class of
change.
30 screaming third
I
graders all day,
started reading
and then I come home to my
everything I
second job
could
of
about
raising 2 kids by
investing.
myself. But my
I was
entire annual
too old
salary is
for
less than one of your
crypto
year-end
hype
bonuses.
and too
You didn't
broke
work
for
harder,
real
you
estate
just got
flips.
luckier. You were lucky
So
to
at
pick the right
first I
careers,
thought I was
lucky to meet the right
stuck.
people, lucky not to
Then
have
my
life throw you the
buddy
kind of
Eric,
curveballs it
who
threw me."
works at a credit
The room
union,
imploded.
said,
Our parents tried to intervene,
"Tom,
but
you
the
don't
words were
have to
out,
buy a
hanging in the air
house
like
to
poison
invest
gas.
in real
On the drive
estate.
home, in the dark,
Ever heard
Clara
of
finally broke
REITs?"
down. "She's right, isn't she?"
I
she sobbed
frowned.
quietly. "Are we selfish?
"Sounds
We're
like a
sitting on this mountain of
scam,"
money while my own sister
he
is
grinned.
drowning." I reached over and took her
"Nah,
hand.
man, it's
It was ice
legit.
cold. "We are not
Real
responsible for the
estate
choices other people make,
investment
Clara. We are only
trusts,
responsible for our own
companies that
lives.
own
And our lives, the
apartments,
ones we're living now, are
malls,
killing us."
hospitals.
"Easy for you to say," a voice in my
You
head
can
shot
buy
back. "It's her
shares,
sister.
get
It's blood.
dividends,
Is your
no
freedom worth building on the
tenants,
back of her
no
struggle?"
broken
That fight with
toilets.
Sarah changed everything.
Vanguard,
Our escape
Schwab,
plan was no
all
longer
of
a
them
romantic
offer
adventure.
it.
It was
You
now a
can
moral
start with a
quandary.
few
We
hundred
weren't just fighting
bucks.
against a soulless corporate system anymore. We were
I
fighting
rolled
against
my
our own
eyes
guilt,
but gave it a
against the
shot.
judgment of the people we
I
loved.
bought
The
$1,000
true cost of
of
freedom
Vanguard
was
real
suddenly,
estate
starkly clear.
ETNQ.
It wasn't just missed
6
restaurant meals and
months
canceled
later, I
vacations.
got
It
my
was fractured
first
relationships.
dividend,
It was the possibility of losing family.
$18.74.
And we had to ask ourselves the hardest question
It
yet.
wasn't much,
Were we
but
willing to
that
pay that price?
1874 felt
My last day at
different.
Omnicorp was intentionally,
quiet
beautifully
money.
anticlimactic. There was no
Money
farewell
that
party,
showed
no
up
sad
while I
sheet cake in the
was
break room.
asleep.
I had engineered it that way.
I dug deeper.
At 3 p.m., I sent a
I
terse email
learned.
to HR. Then I
Public
walked into Dave's
REITs are
office.
safer
He was on the
and
phone, his feet up
liquid.
on his desk.
Basically,
He saw me and held up a
stocks
finger,
that
telling me
pay
to wait.
rent.
I didn't. I placed my company
Private
ID and my corporate
REITs
phone on
can
his desk
yield
right on top of a
higher
stack of reports.
but
He frowned,
sketchy
ending his call abruptly. "What's this,
transparency.
Leo?"
I
"I quit,"
avoided
I said, my voice
those.
even. "Effective immediately." He
Diversify.
laughed, a short, condescending
In
bark. "You quit? Are you
2025,
kidding me? You're
healthcare,
almost 56 years old.
industrial, and
Where are you going to
data
go?
center
Our
REITs
competitor?
were
They won't pay you what we pay you."
outperforming everything
"I'm not going
else.
anywhere, Dave," I said.
Aging
"I'm retiring."
population
The
plus
smirk
AI
vanished from his
boom.
face. It was replaced by
Then came
disbelief,
the
then a flicker of
twist.
something I recognized
I
instantly.
discovered
Pure, unadulterated
Section
envy.
1031
"Retiring? What?
exchange,
Did you win the
a
lottery?" It was always the same
tax rule
question.
that lets you
As if the only
sell
way
an
out of the rat race was a
investment
stroke of dumb luck,
property
never a
and roll
deliberate,
the
calculated plan.
profits into another
"Something like
one
that," I said,
without
allowing myself
paying
a small, genuine
capital
smile.
gains
"Good
tax
luck
yet.
optimizing those projects." I
That's
turned
when
and
the
walked away,
light
and I did not
bulb
look
went
back.
off.
I could feel
REITs
his
were
eyes
my
boring into my
gateway,
back as I walked through the cubicle
but
farm.
maybe,
When I stepped
just
out of the building,
maybe,
the
I
cold
was
Seattle drizzle
ready
hit my
for the
face,
real
and it
thing.
had never felt so clean.
I sold some
I took a deep
stocks,
breath. The
took a
air no longer
modest
smelled of burnt
loan,
coffee and
and
quiet
bought a
desperation. Across the
duplex
street,
in
Clara was
Kansas
waiting in our one
City.
remaining car. She looked at
Nothing
me, and she
fancy.
didn't have to ask.
2
She
small
knew. She
apartments
smiled,
next to
a
a
real,
gas
unburdened smile,
station.
and that was my moment of triumph.
My
Not confronting Dave.
passive
This.
income dream
Seeing the relief
lasted
and the joy on the
exactly
face of my
2
partner, my
weeks
co-conspirator.
until one of
We
my
had done it.
tenants
We were
called at
free.
2
But there
a.m.
was one last piece of
"Hey,
business. A week
Tom, the
later, after the money from
toilet's
the house sale was
flooding.
securely in our accounts,
You
we
tried
drove to Oregon
turning
to
the
see Sarah.
valve?"
This
"The
wasn't a loud
what?"
family dinner. We met at a sterile,
So
neutral ground
yeah,
coffee shop.
I was
The tension was so
unclogging a
thick you could have cut it with a
stranger's
plastic
toilet in
knife.
my
She sat across from
pajamas,
us, arms crossed,
muttering,
a fortress of
"So much
resentment.
for passive
"We came to
income."
say goodbye," Clara said
But it
softly. "We're leaving
worked
in a few
out.
weeks."
I learned
Sarah just
fast.
gave a slight, bitter nod.
Property
"And
management
we wanted to give you
apps,
this," I
good
said, pushing a thick
tenants,
manila envelope
bad
across the table.
tenants,
She glanced at it with
tax
contempt. "I
deductions,
don't want your charity."
depreciation.
"It's not cash," Clara said.
And once the
"Just
cash flow
open it."
stabilized, I
Hesitantly,
pulled the
she did.
next
Inside
trigger,
wasn't a check. It was a set of
a
legal documents.
1031
They established a fully
exchange.
funded 529 college
I
savings plan for
sold
both
that
of her children,
duplex,
enough to cover
rolled
tuition
the
at a state
profit
university.
into a
Tucked
small
inside was a
4-unit
handwritten letter.
building.
"We
No
can't solve your
capital
problems, Sarah,"
gains
Clara
tax,
continued, her voice
all
steady. "Giving you a lump
reinvested.
sum of money wouldn't help.
By
It would just
last
create
year, my
dependence
net
and probably
rental
more
income
resentment.
was
But we can
around
make sure your kids have a better start, a chance that
$3,050 a
maybe neither
month.
of us really had. We're
One
investing in our
night,
future."
Linda and I
Sarah
sat
read the
at that
letter.
same
Her
kitchen
shoulders, which had been
table,
rigid and high,
same
began to
light,
soften.
same
For the first
laughter.
time, the armor cracked.
"Remember that
"Why?"
night,"
she asked,
I
her voice
said,
raspy,
"when we
not looking
thought
up from her
about
papers.
canceling
"Because you're my
Netflix?"
sister,"
She
Clara said, her
smiled.
voice thick with emotion.
"Now
"And
you
because
could
freedom means nothing
probably
if I have to
buy
lose my family to
Netflix
get it."
stock."
It
We
wasn't a storybook
both
ending. She didn't
laughed.
leap up and hug us.
The kind
There
of
were no
laugh
tears of
that
forgiveness.
feels earned.
She took the envelope, mumbled a thank you,
What
and we
I
left in a
learned,
cloud of
and what you
awkward,
should know
unresolved
if you're
silence.
55
The relationship
plus:
was altered, not healed.
1.
The
Start
fracture
with
was still there,
REITs.
but maybe, just maybe, we
They're
had built a small
cheap,
bridge across it.
liquid,
We hadn't
and
taken
let
the
you
easy way
learn
out.
the real
We had
estate
chosen the more
game
complex
without the
path,
chaos
one that
of
allowed us to preserve
tenants.
our own dignity, and hopefully
Vanguard's
hers as well.
VNQ or
The final scene of our
Schwab's
escape wasn't in that coffee
SCHH are
shop. It
solid
was 6 months later.
starters.
Clara and I were on
2.
an
Use
overnight
your
train,
IRA
slicing through the Swiss
wisely.
Alps.
In
Outside the window, snow-capped
2025,
peaks glowed under a
the
full moon.
IRS
We were
raised
sharing
the
a cheap bottle of
catch-up
wine we bought at the
contribution
station, and we
limit
hadn't spoken for
to
an hour, content to just watch the world
$7,500
glide
for
by.
folks
We had
over
made it.
50.
We were out. But as I
That's
looked at my
free
own reflection in the dark
compounding
glass,
if you
an older
use it
man,
right.
bearded now, but with clearer eyes, I couldn't
3.
stop thinking about Sarah,
Diversify across
about
real
Dave,
estate sectors.
about all the people still trapped in the matrix we'd
Healthcare
escaped
and
from.
industrial
We had bought our freedom with
REITs
knowledge,
are
with discipline,
riding
and with a bit of tax code
demographic
arbitrage.
and tech
But sometimes,
trends.
in the quiet of a night like this, I wonder about the
Morningstar's
real
latest
cost.
report
We
showed
didn't just leave our jobs
consistent
behind.
5-6%
We left a system, a
yields
community, and in
there.
some ways, a responsibility.
4. Learn
So I
the
want to ask you, the person
1031
watching this,
exchange early.
are we the heroes of our
It's
own story?
legal tax
The ones who dared to
deferral,
break the
not
chains and live an
avoidance.
authentic life?
If you
Or are we just the
reinvest
selfish
gains
ones who figured out a
fast
loophole,
enough, you
leaving
keep
everyone
your
else
capital
behind to struggle
working.
in a system we knew was broken?
5.
Is
Keep a
justice found in
long
taking care of
game
yourself and your own
mindset.
first and foremost?
Real
Or does it
estate,
demand a greater responsibility to the
even
community,
REITs,
to
doesn't
those
pay
who
you to
weren't
get
as lucky?
rich quick.
Let me know what you think in the
It
comments
pays
because
you to stay
honestly, even after all
disciplined.
this,
These
some
days,
nights I'm still
I
not sure I know the
still
answer.
work part